It feels so good to be back. Well, I never went anywhere, but nobody watched my last upload, so I had to work extra hard so I can afford this month's rent. All jokes aside, I'm really blown away by the phenomenal response to the first part of this Mario ARG I've concocted. What started as me rambling about the spiraling rabbit hole of what started out as a strange Mario ROM hack has led me down a mysterious path involving countless hidden messages, ancient forum posts, and so many interconnecting mysteries that made my head spin. And the response was anything beyond my wildest dreams. I can't thank the people who decided to watch, share, and subscribe because of this video, as well as reach out to me on social media and emails to bring me new information to my attention. I know it's cliche, but thank you. I've been made well aware of how overly long my previous intro was, so I'll spare you the time and jump right into things. If you watch this video in its entirety, I promise you will understand just about everything the Mario ARG has to offer, including its conclusion. Yes, you heard that right, dear viewers. This alternate reality game has indeed been solved, or concluded, depending on how you choose to view it. In this not-so-short amount of time, I have found so many new information on the topic that I feel truly honored to talk about it. And you're not likely to find a lot of this info anywhere else on the internet. What I have in my possession are some exclusive files that will finally be made public to a wide audience. Rejoice if this is your first time seeing them. How did I obtain such information? Well, I'll explain in just a moment. But there are some pressing topics I must cover first. I must take a few steps back and reanalyze my previous video. Due to a lot of the new information coming to light, I must announce that I got some things wrong. Not a lot, but I must clear up some details to correctly summarize the events of this ARG. If you aren't interested in that segment, there will be a time code on screen you may skip to for me to start covering the new information. Naturally, if you have not seen the first video, I highly recommend you pause this video and watch it beforehand. I will have it linked in the description to make things as comfortable as possible for you to view. If you're still watching or have just returned from the first part, hello! I have finally found the true origins of this face. The face that was hidden inside of a scrambled notepad document. Turns out, I may not have realized the true weight of the former SMW Central owner saying that he had found the image online. As it turns out, the Ice Cream Monkey video I had shown as the potential origin is a complete hoax. There was no original uploader by that name, and this video is actually part of another ARG called Chainmail Chasers, created by Ebola Granola on Twitter. This ARG focuses on the iconic, unexplained images found in old creepypastas and tries to give them chilling, fictitious explanations. It completely pulled the wool over my eyes with how well it was able to emulate the late 2000s feel of those YouTube uploads, so hats off to you, Granola. Go check out their channel for other similar videos on topics like Smile Dog and Slenderman if this interests you. Now that we know that Ice Cream Monkey is a hoax, where did the original image come from? Well, recall when I mentioned allegations of the image being somehow tied into band promotion. As it turns out, that was the true explanation. I've recently been linked to a specific thread on X, 4chan's paranormal board, and found the thread where the creator of the image, who is Jordan Davis, a member of a band called Common Man Down. In this thread, he explains that he simply found a photograph of a woman in makeup and fried the image to hell and back to make this. I'll link the archived thread down below. I find it entertaining that I was so close to the truth, but dismissed it. I highly recommend you check out Midnight Crick's breakdown on the topic. He goes into fantastic detail about the whole situation. Secondly, I've missed out on a huge part of the story of the very first Mario game. One that can only be uncovered by using lunar magic, the primary tool for ROM hacking Mario World. Opening up the ROM with lunar magic, we can find a message that isn't obtainable through a regular playthrough. At the current hour, there is no known treatment for the disease. The best we can do is provide drugs to ease the pain. Viewers of the previous video will recall more messages about this strange disease are mentioned in the Mariocave sequel, the second game. There are a few more strange messages and binary codes I'll leave for you to decipher as well. Lunar magic is free to use, so I recommend you sort through the ROM yourself and see what you can find. Thirdly, there was something I knew about previously but chose not to include because, honestly, I wasn't fully sure what to do with it. But now that I've found out what the code hidden inside the audio file hello.mp3 fully entails, I will play the reversed audio once more. Following the link leads to a YouTube channel by the same name. Its only upload is called period.wmv. I'll play part of the video now. Seasoned code crackers, the audio should sound familiar. What's playing is Morse code. I've had the code deciphered for me. It reads as follows. Were you looking for something in particular? You will have to look in a place 20% cooler. What that means is up to interpretation. The video footage playing appears to be Liquid Chris? Of Chris Chan infamy? Alright then. Now that we've cleared out some of the major misconceptions and hidden details, I'd like to finally start covering the new content made public to me. Of course, I always promote people doing their own research and coming to their own conclusions rather than blindly following mine. So I'll be putting just about every file into a link of some sort in order to spread the word. Inside, you will find several images, audio files, and other files for your own investigative purposes. The link to a website with these IPS files will also be included. Don't say I don't do anything for you guys. I must preface this investigation by saying I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. In my comments section, I was contacted by KTB, a longtime user and staff member of SMW Central who reached out to me with loads of critical information. It was on his notice that I discovered the true origins of the Mario image, the other missing files, and everything you are about to see. This video simply would not be possible without his input and guidance, so I ask that you show your support and appreciation by sending him some love and thanking him for his tremendous actions. He has also done his own stream on the multiple Mario sequels on his own time, so check those out. And yes, I did say multiple sequels. There are several. But first, what about Mariocave? Remember Mariocave? The sequel I covered that would not open in my emulator no matter how many times I tried? Well, I now have my hands on a working copy. Let's cover that. Something unique about this game is that most of it is unedited, or at least not edited significantly enough for me to cover it by a play-by-play level. Once you get to a certain point, it's only the text box that have anything of note. What's critical is the very first level, Yoshi's Island 1. Mario must traverse through an altered land in order to find the secret warp pipe to lead to the pipe maze, which leads to the secret exit to finish the level. You'll find plenty of pipes, but none of them lead to an exit, no matter how hard you try. All that's left to do after you hit the mid-exit point is to throw yourself off a cliff and try again. When you re-enter the level, you'll notice that the starting point is the other side of the missing gap you previously couldn't reach. And here's our secret exit. Welcome to the Pipe Cave Maze. Inside, you'll find countless pipes that take you all around a nigh-featureless void that leads to more pipes. Take the right combination and find ourselves in a gloomy level with simple 2D shapes as our objects and coins. Clever traversal and reading out a message or two spelled from blocks will lead us to a secret pipe entrance to our final stop. A P-switch encircled by blocks that Mini Mario cannot destroy. We must progress to the right, where we can find a message spelled out in blocks which may be familiar. I shaped a brave new world. and we were the only ones within, but now there is nothing. Come home. We finally know the origin of one of the phrases I covered in part 1. In a familiar ending, the final part of the screen has yet another secret pipe, which leads us to a game crash. Recall how I said that most of the game wasn't critically changed. If we head to the next level, we can pick up a mushroom and redo the maze section, this time at proper size. Using the P switch to unlock the door, we find nothing. Game crashes again. I'm sorry to disappoint, but this is all a small playthrough really brings for me here to discuss. But our investigation of the ROM does not end entirely here. Why don't we open this game up in Lunar Magic? In the message text box section, we can find several of the quotes from the original Ultimatum thread that we read in the previous video, as well as a few new ones. 12A-2 is a pretty interesting one. It was only a prank. Prank? Hold on to that message. It'll be important for later. Circling back to the main story of Mario, what do we now know? Well, it's still hard to say. We have been introduced to a new plotline, something about the kind of potentially incurable disease. Symptoms and the ultimate fate of people who catch the disease are left mysterious. The talk of a brave new world and leaving behind some kind of doll behind might hint at some kind of greater societal change or movement, though I'm unsure if it's large or small scale. Suffice to say, the Mushroom Kingdom has seen better days. I still can't really make head or tails of what's going on, so I think I might have to reveal a bit of my hand early. Do you recall the forum post by the creator, Mario, saying that the ROM was fixed? Well, he did more than just fix it. He replaced the ROM entirely. Mariocave / Ultimatum was the second version, and I have the first version in my possession. What was once overwritten, but now archived, is called Madness. I think I'll let the footage speak for itself. I'm getting a little tired of repeating myself, but I still don't entirely understand what's happening. This strange Mario sprite trekking through the void could be the depiction of Mario's journey into the cave detailed earlier, with the text box leading to his untimely fate. Or it would, if it displayed anything. Let's check Lunar Magic. The boss sequence text is where we can find our victim number 2 mentioned in the previous thread, as well as some kind of hexadecimal or something of the sort code that translates to home sweet home. Is this home the brave new world? Why was this ROM replaced by the cave hack? Some what I believe to be critical details have been wiped away, like the second whole victim description. Victim descriptions. What if... Follow me with this one. What if the victims weren't the result of a murder spree, but rather as a kind of effect of the virus? It may seem far-fetched, but unless we start putting some pieces together, this puzzle isn't going to have any connected pieces at all. We need to start somewhere. Again, the mystery of why this ROM was replaced baffles me, but perhaps we can find the answer in yet another game, because I have one more to share. And this one is a real exclusive. This ROM was not posted anywhere on the official forums, but rather the IRC chat of SMW Central. KTB happened to save it when Mario posted it and has graciously forwarded to me. Let's see what this one's about. Mario, as the ROM hack is titled, is another cave-based hack, but with less to explore. Only one level is accessible, and there isn't much to do aside from running into a bullet bill at the end. A lot of the same info from Mariocave is presented here, but what does that really provide in terms of new information? Well, seeing it was posted to the IRC and not made publicly available, it might not have been the attention, or entirely possible, because Mario, the user on SMW Central, got banned. I'll explain more in a bit, but keep that in mind. You'll notice that the account is listed as banned, hence why no return was made, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the story. An account re-register was made in 2013 by the same core user, and one more final hack was submitted. So, if you're keeping track, we have a total of about 5 different ROM hacks, which is honestly surprising. I thought there was only one before I started writing the script for the first video, and was surprised to know there was an official sequel. This final hack is called Mario the Super. Let's take a look. Luigi? Maybe. The text still says Mario, but the color scheme points the opposite. All this time I've spent theorizing about the overarching story, I never even considered what part Luigi has to play in all of this. Booting up the game, we find a massively expanded version of the previous ROM hack. We're dropped into a similar yet different version of the cave, with an expanded timer and much more to explore. The pipe maze is just as confusing as ever, though. You already know what software to pull up. Seems like the overworld itself has a secret for us. The boss sequence has some interesting ones. Ludwig von Koopa's days of decomposing. Not entirely surprised he died, to be honest. I hear your song no more. The message boxes usually just repeat the word time, but there are a couple new ones. Even in death, I am not yours. And amazing! Few have made it this far. Time? We know that Mario does like to monitor what people say about his uploads, given that he made intentional changes to the ROM file afterwards. And seeing as the new registration was definitely him, the level names are quite interesting as well. So that's all the game's covered, I promise. No more hidden ROMs exist to play through, as far as I know. But we don't seem to be any closer to figuring out what's going on. Things are still incredibly vague, perhaps too vague. So we've hit the same wall, just harder. Now, what did we do when we were stuck in the previous installment? We investigated his user profile, but we've already seen everything he has to offer, right? Well, I do have access to some files that were mentioned in previous forum posts but had since been deleted for unknown reasons. Again, credit to KTB. Let's go through the images first. Foremost, he has an insane number of pictures of Rainbow Dash present. The significance of this is something I'll hold on to for now, but it is kind of funny considering the reference to the 20% cooler meme of the early 2010s. It's easy to forget, but when this ARG was really heating up in the early 2010s was also when the rise of MLP and brownies were, by extension, was a contentious topic. Some images taken from Ted the Caver, perhaps the first creepypasta, assume a new life with their file names. Burning Man and especially Victim Number 2. Number 2. I recall that he was found in an apartment starved, but this was inside a cave. Perhaps the parallels in the cave are meant to represent the isolation and starvation of his treatment. The next set of files are audio files with hidden images inside of them called spectrograms. I will be playing each audio track and revealing the images inside sequentially. What these all look like to me are victims, not dissimilar to the edited red image that made this story so iconic. Names like Mario, Luigi don't bring up a lot of interpretation, but there is one that really catches my eye. Catherine. Who is Catherine? There aren't many named characters, and not a lot of people who can be prescribed the name. Was she victim number 1? Is she the doll mentioned to be thrown away? Perhaps a victim of this mysterious illness mentioned several times. Horror.wave is interesting with the quote from the second book of Peter in the Bible. What can this imply? Like God is somehow behind all of this? The other two files, musical and 02202004.wave, are Morse code files. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of Half Endy Demon, Lesby Oswald, and others, I've been able to find their true messages. Musical translates to... I think it's backwards, just give me a moment. There we are. Read backwards, it says, "Yes, too late for her. She's gone blood." 02202004 says, "Hello? Yvette? Are you there? I have something to X out, something very important. It is to do about Catherine. I am worried about her." That's what's approximated from the Morse code, at least. There are some weird spelling errors present, and we aren't entirely sure if that was intended by the creator or how we translated them, so take it with a light grain of salt. Well, did I call it or what? Sounds like Catherine is indeed a victim of this virus. The first audio file reads like a jumbled sentence from a doctor or surgeon just learning they've lost their patient. The second introduces two other characters, an unnamed narrator and Yvette, who are engaged in a conversation, likely a phone call or text message about the status of Catherine. So, if she is indeed a victim of the disease, should we assume that's how she looks in the spectrogram in the end result for anyone contracting the disease? That certainly adds a new layer of complexity to the scrambled red image from the first game, but it also makes me scratch my chin about the status of Mario and Luigi. If they both received their own spectrogram images, what can we surmise about this disease, other than its mortality rate or that it might have potentially biblical origins? I propose that this disease offers a particularly nasty symptom: mutation. Look at all the victims of this disease. Look at how red and mutated they've become. Mario isn't even slightly recognizable from his classic self. However, one contracts the disease, it distorts the flesh until you look like poor Luigi, a pile of bones and blood. And about how you contract the disease. Notice how Mario and potentially Luigi is spotted inside cave structures. Caves play quite a big role, being featured in several of the games. The Ted the Caver images especially, with victim number 2 being pictured inside of a cave. Now, hear me out with this one. What if this is some kind of disease contracted inside caves, or similarly dark, dank, and isolated areas? It could be the result of some kind of creature or bacteria inside, or a representation of the isolation and the human mind made flesh. But there is a connection between these. Victim number 2 died on the way to the hospital, but we can clearly see him inside of a cave. He was described as being found in an abandoned apartment before death, which appeared run down, so symbolically sound with the cave theming. What if Mario was framed? We hear endlessly about the reign of terror Mario seemed to have inflicted, but we don't see any of it. Was he somehow blamed for this virus, which had already begun without his action? Perhaps the grief of the situation drove him into the cave only for him to contract the same disease, either out of misery or self-inflicted. Poor Luigi, if that is Luigi, seemed to try and find his brother, only to end up similarly lost inside the cave with the same illness. It's a very somber tale that leaves a wake of bloody destruction, an incurable fatal disease that mutates the body until you can no longer identify your loved ones before death. How deliciously cruel. That's all the files I have available to me, and are we really any closer to figuring out what's going on? Well, let me summarize everything once more to try and understand the story that's being told here. through all the pictures and games and audio files present. Starting off with the original hack, we can see that the Mushroom Kingdom is in disarray. Mario seems to be inflicting a ton of terror on the people, or at least the people believe him to be responsible for it. Victim number 1 is described in a murder scene after you beat Iggy's castle. Mario gets stuck in a cave while being taunted with messages berating him, and the game crashes. Cue to the scrambled red face. The multiple other games reinforce this aspect of Mario but add an extra narrative. There seems to be a kind of sickness that turns people inside out, affecting people inside and outside of the Mushroom Kingdom. The narrative does become a little confusing if everything does take place inside the Mushroom Kingdom, with the images being references to what's happening inside, or if there's some kind of connection between our reality and Mario's. The status of other Mario characters hangs in the balance. While the virus is going, there seems to be ongoing murder investigations. Through potentially these murders could be the early stages of said virus, and Mario is the main culprit. Either Mario has been committing these acts while the virus is spreading, or he was falsely accused. Either way, he gets lost in a maze of caves and pipes, which likely leads to his untimely death. Luigi goes into the same cave to look for his brother and ends up with the same fate. Several images and audio files point us in different directions, from YouTube videos to cryptically scrambled images. More people are being affected by this virus, but we don't have a full explanation. My theory is that it's a representation of the effects of isolation on human brains and bodies because each victim was alone and inside a cave or similarly isolated and desolate environments when they contracted it. And that seems to be where we're left off. Mario, the creator and main account posting all this, has been banned and inactive ever since, despite a message in one of the games saying there would be an upcoming transmission in 2014, which seems to have never come. Now, I want everyone to brace themselves for this. It might be a lot to take in. Do you recall when I said I had no more files to share? Well, I might have lied, because I have one more, an image file. Rather than explaining it, I think I'll let you ponder the image on your own. Have you finished? This may or may not shock you, but Mario, the poster, might not be a mastermind ARG creator, but rather a dedicated troll. Let me explain. I've said that his account was banned, but why was it banned? Was it for the level submissions breaking the terms of service of SMW Central? Well, those Rainbow Dash and Gmod pony pictures suddenly make a lot more sense, sort of. If you view them as a way to make fun of brownies, that is. If you like to mess with brownies, so what? His trolling doesn't end there. Recall when I dug through his messages on the banned account in the previous video. He seemed to break character to patch his games, so he really wanted people to play them and discuss them. Or discuss them on his terms, that is. Because a few of the messages indicate he would get upset with people if they weren't able to figure out the ciphers. I'm looking at all this from an outsider perspective of events that happened almost 15 years ago, so I'm strongly relying on KTB's testimonies, which I have no reason to doubt. If you need absolute definitive proof that it was a troll effort, then a goal to create an ARG, the creator himself reached out to me in the last video in the comments section. I will be reading his comment in full. Hello. I made this ROM hack in question. The ARG is unfinished because I was 14 and when I was making it up along. Why the hack exists. SMWC used to hold annual level design contests that you made a single Mario World level and submitted it to be rated. I participated and my level was rated like 2 out of 10, which pissed me off. So one evening when I was bored, I purposely made a bad cryptic ROM hack because I thought it would be funny to see people's reactions to it. I didn't expect anyone to actually pay close attention to it. I thought people would just play it then forget about it. As for the ARG, it was really just made up on the fly, a collage of random scary stuff. I'm not sure where I was going with it, but I think I just wanted to keep the spookiness going. If I recall correctly, the plot I was going for was that SMW was being used as a medium to tell a spooky story unrelated to Mario. Think Petscop, but again, it was just shit I made up on the spot as a teenager. It had no real rhyme or reason. It's just there to be spooky. As I was 14 at the time, it's poorly made, it just contains references to the stuff I happened to be into as a teenager. Homestuck, House MD, Yume Nikki, etc. It is a little embarrassing to see it again after almost 15 years after the fact, but what can you do? Eventually, I stopped trying to make it unsettling and just uploaded whatever random GIFs I had made at the spare time. It ends with the middle of nowhere because I stopped caring at some point. It didn't occur to me that the Victim 1 blurb had anything to do with the image. It is pure coincidence. I simply lifted it from this video's description because I found it funny. He then links to a video called Victim 1 uploaded in 2010, which a description that reads, "Body retrieved 07/11/88. Corpse missing skin, eyes. Hand-shaped marks seared into flesh on upper arms. Cause of death unknown." The description obviously being the inspiration for the original. This video was proof enough to KTB that Rotten Egg 2000 is indeed our creator, because KTB had previously had conversations with the creator who linked the same video in the past. Without me really needing to explain it, I think this is definitive enough proof. We have a clear explanation why things seem to end dead in their tracks, because the creators simply got bored of the project and decided to move on. That's why no uploads or any activity went past 2013. What does that mean for the ARG? Was it totally pointless to cover something that had already been, quote, solved over a decade ago by the people in the original forums? No, not entirely. The intended ARG aspects, like the creator says, were made up on the spot, but they were intentionally crafted to get people asking questions. Even if the story wasn't charted out, or even if there's no story at all, there's still something to be said about the entire experience. If you were there back in the forums, or if you're a fan of the later creepypasta written about it, if you've watched other analysis videos on YouTube, or finding out for the first time through my video, it's an experience that connects everyone for almost 15 years through a series of photographs and ROM hacks that stand entirely on its own in a lovely, unique way. It's cliche to say that the destination doesn't compare to the journey, but there aren't many experiences that I can say match the description than this one we went on together solving the Mario ARG. Well, I can't really say I solved it per se. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to say it's solved if the mystery was left intentionally vague for people to discuss without a clear goal in mind. And if the original people on the SMW Central forums already knew of the outcome of the situation. I'm only a messenger, really. What I do hope is that this information becomes more public, both through me providing all the files in the link below, but also in the general minds of creepypasta and lost media enthusiasts. My aim with this video was not to claim that I had uniquely solved it entirely on my own, because that simply isn't true. Without help from people like KTB and some of my loyal viewers, I never would have progressed enough to make a second part at all. Again, I must humbly thank everyone who helped me, everyone who watched, and especially the creator himself. I don't know what you're up to these days, but I'm overjoyed that you can look positively on the whole experience you've crafted over a decade ago, and the impact it had and continues to have on players and researchers alike. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm a little sad to see it go, because connecting with people and uncovering new details and theorizing about what kind of story was being told was amazing. I feel truly humbled and honored by the whole experience, but if there's anything I want people to understand from me, is that I don't plan on stopping soon. The second after, or even before, I'm already working on a new video. Take this as my official, last moment endorsement to like my videos, subscribe and share them, do whatever you feel you must do, because I'll be sticking around. My creative and tenacious flames are continually fanned each time I upload, and I have you to thank for it. What is my next video, you ask? Well, see you there, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day.